Hello again and welcome to another edition of Southern Country. Hi, I'm Herb Southern and welcome to the show, my friends. I'm very lucky to say I have the string wizard, I have the America's instrumental poet, and a founding member of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band with me, Mr. John McEuen. Welcome to the show,
hey,
sir.
Herb.
Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Good to have you in Southern Country. There are some terms of endearment that I read about you, string wizard and instrumental poet. Do you agree with those terms?
I like the fact that some reviewers have liked what I've done and think it's the string wizard title is what I used for a title for an album too.
Yes.
But that was actually referring to the other players, the String Wizards album. We got a video from that album too. That's going to be good. The Return to Dismal Swamp.
Okay.
And you'll see what I mean when you see those guys playing. Sam Bush and Roy Husky and Jerry Douglas and Stuart Duncan and David Greer. I was just kind of mixing in the wizardry of them there. But I don't know if I agree. I always strive to be something that people will remember.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
Isn't that part of what we do? That's why you're on camera?
I'm here with you. That's right. We try to be what some, whatever. Hey, let's talk about what you're doing right now, traveling around with the boys, Jonathan and Nathan.
Well, what do you want to know?
Well, it's referred to, I think you referred to it, the old hippie and a family affair.
No, I don't know who said that.
I read that in the paper.
That's what people get out of it, what they can.
Okay.
But that's old hippie. Yeah, I
you
was.
Think?
I was from the '60s.
Yeah, I was there with you.
I used to have long hair.
Yeah. I got none.
Did you have hair at one time?
Yeah. See, I got none now.
Oh, well,
you got hair now.
But it's a family affair. I have 6 kids, and these are the 2 that have pursued the music business quite aggressively. The youngest son is Nathan, and he has his first album out this year, and Jonathan is my middle son, and he's made about 6 different albums, and he had one on MCA with his cousin Jamie Hanna.
Yes.
It was called Hannah McEuen. It was in the country market. And Jonathan goes out and has a lot of different pursuits going on, and both of them have been able to take time from what they do to recapture some of what we do on stage together, which is a lot of fun.
What can people expect to see as far as just the family
If they
affair
come to
on
see us?
Tonight, right here at the Sellersville Theater?
Well, it's a combination of my past and their future, or their current situation, and their present.
Okay.
It's a combination of my past and my present and their present and how it relates to some of the older music. Some of the music that we do together is some of the Dirt Band songs that people are familiar with.
Sure.
The Circle Be Unbroken music that is really special to do with family members, and I feel very lucky to do that. But I'll tell you, Herb, every night there's at least 2 or 3 things that come up that they surprise me with, and I have to jump in and hold on.
Do they?
But that's because each other, and every now and then I fool them into something.
There you go. There you go.
And like last night, Jonathan played the piano on a song I'd never heard him play the piano on, and he sang it. I felt like I was lucky to get on stage with this guy, And Nathan, his new music is really reaches people. Let's just say it goes. It's not like, and here's the kid, let's see what he can do.
Right.
It's more like the tree is standing in the shadow of the acorns occasionally.
Wow, that's interesting. That's reversed where it normally is. Let's talk about your host on the Acoustic Traveler.
Well, I started a show on XM satellite radio about 1.5 years ago, and it's been going really good. In fact, we just left XM and did a little trio special that they're going to run several times pretty soon.
Sure.
And yeah, the show on Acoustic Traveler is the name of the show. I named it after one of my favorite albums that I've made, Acoustic Traveler, and I use that song, which we'll play tonight, as the theme song for the show, because I really believe in the music that's on that album, and I'm trying to get the word out.
There you go.
Please listen to this and give it a shot, give it a chance, buy it on iTunes, whatever.
What kind of music do you play on that show?
Well, on the radio show, it's music that, I'm a weird DJ, Herb.
Weird DJ, okay.
Because I only play people I've either recorded with, or performed with, or that I know.
There it is.
And fortunately, it includes
everybody.
It's a weird list. I didn't realize this till I tried to figure out what am I going to do. Well, let me play this cut that Leon Russell and I recorded in his basement a couple years ago. Well, before that, I'll play something that Leon did years ago.
Yeah.
Well, let me play something that Sam Bush, when he was with Newgrass Revival, when he went out with Leon Russell. Well, let me play something then that Sam and I recorded together. And as I kept doing that, it was like, Well, let me play that girl in Denver that really sings nice. Oh, I played mandolin on this. That's why I have it.
Oh my God.
And let me play a cut with Jose Feliciano that I recorded with him years ago. It's all over the board.
How long is this show?
You know, it's usually at 90 minutes,
90 minutes, okay.
hour and 15 to an hour and 45. They let me have total freedom to do whatever I want.
And how often do you record?
XM Radio Channel 15, and I do a show a month, and they run it 4 times.
Oh, wow. Good. You can catch John McEuen on XM Radio. That sounds good to me.
You like the Circle Be Unbroken album,
Great
right?
album.
You want to know one reason that existed? It's because Jerry Jeff Walker wrote a song called Mr. Bojangles. Jeff Hanna heard it on the radio, but it wasn't a hit. It was played on an FM show late at night. The next day, the band, he taught it to us. We recorded it, and a bunch of people requested it and went out and bought it, and that gave us some kind of power.
Yes.
That the record company said, well, they want to make this album, we'd better listen to them. And because of that record being successful, Earl Scruggs and Doc Watson and Merle Travis had all heard that. And they said, well, you know, those guys, that's not really, it's on the pop charts, but they're using a mandolin and a harmonica and an acoustic guitar and accordion. Well, let's see what we can do with them.
Well, is that sort of old-timey music, a lot of that stuff? Mother Maybelle was on there.
I'll tell you, to me, the thing that was cool about Bojangles is it sounded like an old record.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah,
but the story was so compelling and so strong that it got out and it reached people with this feeling of, I don't know, it took you back to a place you've never been.
It's a great album. The original, the 33s were 3 records. That
well, that's the Circle album. Bojangles was on the one that preceded that.
Oh, I'm
on
sorry.
the Uncle Charlie album.
Oh, see, all right.
And because of the success of that,
it came to Circle.
The record company listened when we went in and said, we're going to make this acoustic bluegrass record.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. See.
So, but again, it was because the people were supporting what we were doing that it made it all work.
Let's talk about let's talk about a book you have coming out now.
Well, that's on my website, and I'm trying to get a publisher, and I've got a few of the stories on the website, and the website is johnmceuen.com.
I was going to say that.
And well, go ahead.
johnmceuen.com.
Thank you. We got it in twice, didn't we?
There you go.
And it's basically stories of what happened. I'm about 2 weeks ahead of the baby boomers.
Oh, okay.
And I'd been able to live this life of going through what a lot of people have wanted to do. Be in a band, go on the road, go to funny countries, play music that you chose to play instead of something that you had to play because you were playing in a dance bar.
Yeah.
So that encountering a bunch of strange people from, well, some of them are better in print than maybe on, I don't know what your audience is, but Little Rock Connie, she was in American Band by, you know, we're an American band, travel across the land. Last night in Little Rock, we were doing our act. Connie had the whole band as a natural fact. Well, I've met Connie.
Yeah, you met Connie, right?
I've never met her carnally, but Connie in Little Rock was somebody I met in person, but I didn't partake of her offered services.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I would change my mind now. No.
Yeah, well, think back now. Think back.
No, I'd rather read the story.
There you go. Let's put a video in. Which one do you want?
Well, I'd like to put in Return to Dismal Swamp.
Tell me about that and who's in it. And
well, this is a song that I tried to come up with that. It starts off kind of swampy, as if you're out on a boat floating in the swamp and you reach down and pull up a banjo and you start playing it and then people join in. David Greer is a guitar player, Sam Bush on fiddle, my buddy David Hoffner on keyboards. It's trying to mix a synthesis of orchestrated sounds along with bluegrass.
John, let's talk about John McEuen and the L.A. String Wizards round trip live in L.A. 20 tracks on that one, along with Jonathan was on that deal.
Oh yeah, and some of the finest playing that I've heard him do. He's the kind of guy that sometimes doesn't make me mad, but and I'm not sure it's jealous. Maybe it's envious, because one of the cuts on there is a blues song that. Well, here's the deal. The day before the show, Jonathan calls me and says, well, I'm still in Denver. I said, well, it's too late to get a flight. He drove straight from Denver to L.A. It's like a 22-hour drive, and gets out of the car, does the sound check. An hour later, we're playing, and on this, it's like, I looked for a mistake, just so I could say, see, you shouldn't do that. But I don't know.
You couldn't
I couldn't
find
find one. and the rest of it is, the album was recorded from 4 different shows, recorded by my buddy Mike Denicky. I'll ask the cameraman, you know what a time code slate is, where the numbers flash by? It's called a Denicky slate. And Mike Denicky was one of my good friends. He was the engineer for Mr. Bojangles. And he was a sound man, and I say was, he passed away a few years ago. And he was a genius and a great sound recording guy. And he went out and recorded these shows live. I mean, he called me up, John, I'm bored. Can I record you? And I said, well, let me put together a band. It was Phil Salazar, Tom Corbett, Randy Tico, Jesse Siebenberg, Jesse's a percussionist. His father is a drummer in Supertramp. And Brian Savage plays on one song. And Jonathan. And basically, it's 4 live shows that are kind of chopped up to be like one show. And it kind of takes you back to the space I wish I had been in the 60s.
Well, you
coming to L.A. with a hot band.
I read where you pay homage to your early influences on that.
I try to,
Yeah,
one
Doc
of which
Watson
is
Don Reno and the
Doc Watson, Don Reno, the
Dillards.
and of course the Dillards. I wouldn't be here if Doug Dillard hadn't turned my crank back in 1965.
I read that, yeah.
And it's got a variety of music that kind of goes from swing to gypsy type of music to bluegrass.
What's the difference between that and early albums that you've made going way back?
Well, this one's live.
Oh, live. That's your
Straight
first
through,
live album.
no overdubs.
Okay, wow.
And the other albums on Vanguard, I always try to get songs on the first take. And usually 8 out of 10 times I do. And basically because I get worse.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes the best first is the
by
best.
the middle of the second time through, you can start tuning out because maybe you got through the hard part, or it's a different energy. If you go in with like this interview we're doing right now, we haven't rehearsed it, and I think it's going pretty good.
You think we're doing okay?
Yeah, we're doing okay.
Okay, John.
Now, if we had to repeat what we're doing,
Never can do it.
like this interview we're doing right now, I think it's going pretty good. And see, I mean, right there, it's not as good as I did it a minute ago.
Exactly. You can't do it twice sometimes.
Say that again.
You can't do it twice sometimes.
See, you weren't as definite.
No, it wasn't.
You were just staring.
The voice was different.
Yeah,
the
voice
projection was different.
So you get the point.
Exactly. You're a founding member of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band 40 years ago. They left, where, Long Beach in 1966 or something like that?
I'm not sure about that founding member. I think I found them.
Oh, okay. Well,
I just figured that out.
All right.
They'd been together a couple months.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Well, they'd been together a couple months, and I'd been sitting in with them, and I went to a banjo contest, and I needed somebody to back me up. First time I'd entered a banjo contest.
Yeah.
And since I won, I figured, I think I'll have them stick around. Yeah. And then they said, well, maybe we'll stick around with this guy.
With you.
And that's when we started, August of '66.
There you go. Let's talk about the Circle One album. That was a landmark, mega project for you guys to tackle. You've only been out on the road 4 or 5 years when you tackled that project back in '72.
Yeah, in '71 we recorded it, and it came together so quick. It was in June, first week of June, that I asked Earl if he'd record with us, and Jeff and I were so excited that he said I'd be proud to. Yeah. And 2 weeks later I asked Doc the same question at the same club in Colorado, and he said, well, if Earl's there, I'm coming along. And 7 weeks after that day, well, 6 weeks after that, we went into the studio, and 6 days later, we were done.
All 3 records?
Yeah, it was all done in 6 days.
Get out.
And on the 7th, we played back.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was mostly first take stuff and done 2-track. And it was the way that it just made sense. And it went so fast. I mean, it's just... I've relived those moments quite often, and been fortunate to record with Earl several times after that, and Vassar, did a lot of recording with Vassar. But it helped make new friendships and give us a stamp of credibility in Nashville.
It did a lot for the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
I got a permanent backstage pass to the Grand Ole Opry.
There you go. It played to do that, didn't it? Let's put another video in for you.
How about Miner's Night Out?
I agree.
Now, my young son is older now, but a bunch of my kids are in this movie. You'll see Nathan's face at about 10 years old. Nathan! Yes. How old were you when we did Miner's Night Out video? 10?
12.
12?
Somewhere.
You looked like you were 8. You'll see Nathan out in the audience. He's the happy face out there, and Ryan's in the audience, and Jonathan's up on stage playing the guitar, and we shot it to look like 1880. The drummer is my good buddy Merle Briganti, who was the first drummer that I ever saw play live.
No kidding.
And he's an excellent player. He was in a group called the Sunshine Company that my brother managed, and then he later went on to be the drummer in Loggins and Messina for 8 years.
Wow.
And he did a couple of years in the Dirt Band. He played on American Dream and Make a Little Magic, and then he played with Gary Morris and a bunch of people. But this was done back in 1993 in the town of Deadwood, South Dakota, and it's called Miners' Night Out.
I read where you were influenced by the Dillards back in the mid-'60s. What part did the Dillards play in your
Well, the group,
background?
the Dillards, were also known as the Darlin family on the Andy Griffith Show.
They were great.
And I didn't know that at the time, and I had somebody drag me out to a club to go see something called the Dillards. And I was playing the guitar a little bit. I'd only been playing 6 months. And I sat there in this audience, and you ever know, Herb, you ever know anybody that does this with their leg?
Yeah.
Well, I've never done that. You know,
I
mean,
see that, though.
sitting in school, I've never done that.
To go this.
Yeah, people that do that.
Right.
And I'm sitting there waiting for something that I don't know to come on stage, and my hands started getting sweaty and cold, and my legs started going like that, and my other leg started, I didn't know what was going on, but if I've ever had an epiphany or a magic moment in my life, right then somebody said, please make welcome from Salem, Missouri, the Dillards. And they walked out, and Doug kicked off Hickory Hollow, and I don't think I took a breath for about an hour.
Wow.
And I went home and took the fifth string off my guitar and put on a banjo, a first string, and put a nail at the 5th fret so it'd be short like a banjo. And I didn't know how to tune it. But I watched the Dillards solid for a couple of years, at least 3 nights a week.
Wow.
And they were funny. They were hot. They played great. Their vocals, it took you to a space. They had their own version of bluegrass.
Yeah.
And they affected a lot of people. And both as the Darlin family on Andy Griffith, and their live shows were just impeccable.
Now, what did you do as far as a film in 1991?
Impeccable.
Impeccable. There you go. That's a good terminology.
A new word.
Impeccable.
Yeah.
What did you do in 1991? It took a film group to make a documentary or something with the Dillards?
Well, that just came out. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Let's hype that.
Let's do it.
It's
right
called A Night in the Ozarks, and it's
That's
about
what
the
it is.
Dillards. I shot it in a farmhouse in Salem, Missouri. That's where they were from.
Okay.
And I had Rodney find a farmhouse, and they were my mentors, and I wanted to honor them and capture them at the peak of their playing at the time. And we recorded 11 songs, live music. Mike Deneke, the time code slate inventor, invented that flashing time code slate. Was also a sound man, and he engineered Mr. Bojangles and was a lifelong friend. And he came out and recorded the Dillards, just 2 mics, and it's one of the most beautiful sounding recordings of them. And it's done live. It's about an hour and a half long. It's on the verrry Band label.
Okay.
Or you can go to dillards.com.
There you go.
Or the Dillards, or my website, and find out about it.
JohnMcEuen.com fills you in on all the details of what you're up to.
Some fun stories there
Good.
too.
John,
And
we're wrapping up.
different stuff. Okay, great. Let's go to a Dirt Band video.
I think we should close it with a Dirt Band.
This is a song that came up out of all the angst of being on the road and how a band could keep together. And this was shot, this must be from 82 or 4 or something.
Way back.
Back when videos were still new.
Right. It was, it was one of the first ones I received. Must be 86, maybe.
And this was black. It's black inside.
Black
Yeah.
inside. Yeah, you just make it white.
Just
huh?
like your hat
Yeah, right.
inside.
There you go.
I don't want to,
There
you
you
know, I
go.
want people to feel comfortable with me, the boomers and stuff. This is Partners, Brothers, and Friends with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
for being
Herb.
on the show. Appreciate meeting John McEuen, having him on the show. Good luck and success with the boys and everything, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the stage.
Thank you.